You've just landed Inside LaunchStreet, the innovation podcast, where we interview top innovators out there shaking things up so you can innovate and differentiate and get further, faster in this crazy, cluttered world. And now, innovation thought leader and your super fly host, Tamara Kleinberg.
Hey, LaunchStreeters. I can't believe it, but it is that time of year. It's the end of the year. So I did what I always do. I went through and I re-listened to all the great podcasts, all the great innovators, all the great interviews that we've had on Inside LaunchStreet. And I went through and looked for the themes, the patterns, the big things that were bubbling up that I think are important for us to pay attention to as we close out 2017 and open up 2018. So I'm going to do a little bit of a different podcast this time. I'm not going to interview anyone. I'm just going to go through these themes that I pulled out. I think you're going to find them fascinating. And most importantly, I hope that you use them as you think about your innovation rockstar plan for 2018. All right, let's dig into some of the amazing things that we learned this year. Well, this was an incredible year of interviews. I will tell you, LaunchStreeters, I was just going through some of the people we've had on. Everyone from Drew Boyd, who talked to us about thinking inside the box with his proven system of creativity, to Jeff Platt, who was the president of Sky Zone, the trampoline park. How fun was that interview and how interesting was it? All the way over to Felicia Anderson from Pitney Bowes and, oh my gosh, Jay Samit. The list goes on. And I will tell you, we have some amazing people lined up for you in 2018 as well. I think we're just getting better and better with how we're doing things. And I'm so excited. But before we do that, I wanted to share what I think are a couple of the big lessons that I had over the year from these incredible interviews with these innovators across the board, people from corporate America, entrepreneurs rocking it hard. Oh my gosh. Okay. Can you tell that I'm gushing? I totally am. I love my job so much. It's incredible. So I went and, believe it or not, re-listened to all the podcasts. I take copious notes while I'm doing them, actually. But, I like to go back through and actually listen again. And a couple big, powerful, we should continue to pay attention to this lessons came out of the interview. So it wasn't just one interview in particular. It was how all the interviews connected and the themes that I started to hear across the interviews. And listen, when a lot of great innovators are kind of saying similar things or noticing similar things, it makes me sit back and go, we should probably pay attention to that. So now I'm bringing that information to you. So this will be a shorter session. It's not going to go all 30, 45 minutes. Might only go 10, might go 20. We'll see. I'm going to kind of talk off the cuff like I always do. And we'll see where it goes. But let's dig into them, shall we? So the first pattern that I kept hearing from people was, it's time to stop fearing change and it's time to start embracing it. I think intellectually we all know that. And maybe for some of us, that's obviously, Tamara, like the rate of change is so fast these days. But there was something in hearing it over and over again that really stuck with me. And what stuck with me was change is happening. It's happening all the time. And as I actually talk about in a lot of my keynotes, it used to be that we'd have this one big, massive disruption, almost like an earthquake. And then we'd, let the dust settle, see where things settled out, what our new normal is. And then we'd kind of all live to that new normal. Today, it feels like it's just a constant hit of micro disruptions, that things are always changing. Nothing is consistent. And because of that, we have to start looking at change as an asset, as something that we can actually leverage on a regular basis, not something that's a point in time exercise. Towards the end of the year, I talked to a lot of change management experts and innovators. And one of the things that struck me within this change and embracing it is they kept talking about how the mistake that we make is we treat it as a point in time exercise. This has changed, so I'm going to make this adjustment, and then that's the new normal. Or we're going to change how we do things, so we're going to make that a 6-month process, and then we're done. What I'm hearing and what I'm experiencing actually is that we just need to embrace change as a resource, as an asset, just like people, time, money, competition, opportunity. We got to put change in that bucket too. We got to shift our mindset on change. Instead of think of it as this thing that we fear, this thing that we resist, are scared of, push back on as long as we possibly can, we have to start seeing it as something that we can embrace, even create. So I hope out of all that, you take away that not only the change is here to stay, I think most of us know that, but that actually change can be our most leverageable asset, that it's ongoing, and that it should be on our, Excel spreadsheet of things that we pay attention to, just like all the other things on our list, like resources and people and time and money and energy. And start to think about embracing change. And, I'm just kind of talking off the cuff here, but if you think about it, really, if you start to have this mindset of embracing change, don't you think it'll be easier? I mean, if we fear change, if we look at change as like the death cycle, oh my gosh, this is going to be so horrible. Change is so hard. It kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, doesn't it? So what if we looked at it as something that we liked, something that maybe even we appreciated? I mean, if you think about the things in your life that you like, appreciate, look forward to, they're kind of easier to deal with, right? In fact, they're fun to deal with. So what do you say that we look at change in the same way? Let's embrace change. The second thing is emotions. When I went back and listened, I was really surprised to hear this continual theme of, hey, we have to stop leaving our emotions at the door. Here's the thing about it. And I actually want to share a little story with you that I think brings kind of what all these great innovators on our podcast were saying. So many of you may buy Lululemon clothing. I know I do. I have a myriad of athleisure wear. In fact, they pretty much created the category of I wear my yoga pants to the grocery store. A couple years back, they changed their bags. So they've got these, they look like recycled bags, like nice high-end bags when you go shopping there, which is a good thing because their stuff's not cheap. And they changed the text on the bag. It used to be their manifesto of like, drink water, dance in the rain, to who is John Galt. Now, for some of you may know this, some of you may not. That is the character in Ayn Rand's Atlas Shrugged, which is kind of held up as the end-all be-all solo entrepreneur changes the world book. I happen to actually really like it. Not everybody does. And I know this because I texted a friend of mine and said, hey, can you get a hold of one of those bags for me? I actually want to use it as a marketing example for my team. She texted me back in all caps. That's how I know she was serious. She texted, I will never shop at Lululemon again because of those bags! Exclamation point, and then 100 more exclamation points. And I thought, well, that's interesting. The product hasn't changed. The price point hasn't changed. The distribution hasn't changed. She used to shop there every weekend. And because of a marketing thing that they did, she decided not to. Now, I'm not saying she's right or wrong. In fact, frankly, she's right, only because it's her decision. She gets to vote with her wallet anywhere she goes. What I want to highlight in that story is that it's a very emotional decision. And that's okay. We as human beings constantly make emotional decisions. Yet, when it comes to work, we're told to leave our emotions at the door, aren't we? It's, that's the business place. That's the professional place. Yet, our customers, our clients, our colleagues, us, we're all emotional creatures. And in fact, great innovation can be found inside emotions. So when we strip away all those emotions, first of all, I think we're doing ourselves, our businesses, our brands a big disservice, because that's how our customers and our clients, that's how they're shopping, is based on emotional decisions. So we should connect with that by, frankly, being that ourselves. But also, when we strip it away, we're stripping out some of that creativity, some of that innovation that we could be bringing to the table. There's so much innovation to be found in the emotional side. So I want you to think about, your daily life and how you operate, and think about, are you one of those people who have been trained, like I was for many years, to be all emotional in our personal lives, and then the minute we walk through our office doors to suddenly strip it out and be, uber professional. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be professional. Don't get me wrong. We absolutely should. But it's okay to bring that emotion in to the world, into our workplaces, because we have it out in the world. And I bet you'll find in your next meeting, when you are ideating new ideas, when you're trying to solve a challenge, when you're looking to seize an opportunity, that if you start getting actually a little bit emotional in your language, a little more of the I feel, I love about this, I hate about that, not just objectively, blah, 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 I bet you'll find more innovative ideas come out of it. Now, an interview that I just did that we'll be posting in 2018, we were talking about the fact that this was a Stanford professor, about the fact that not only do we have to have more emotion to be more innovative, but there's so much transparency in our work, and work and life are molding into one big thing. It's no longer, this is my job and this is me personally. What people want out of their work is to feel like it serves their life too. It's all just integrated into one big, this is me, this is what I do. I mean, my gosh, think about how many hours we spend at work. But what she was saying was, because of that integration of work and life, it's no longer okay to be one of those organizations where emotion is stripped away, because that's not how people operate anymore. And it's not how they want to operate. So I hope you'll think about bring more of that emotion to your work. Now, the next one is one that I feel like I do pretty well. I think some of the people around me do really well. Some of you listening will go, well, obviously, Tamara, but always a good reminder. And that is to question everything. It is always amazing to me how many rules, assumptions, standards that we operate by that are really just how things have always been done. They're just somebody else's rules, but they don't have to apply to us. We've got to make sure that at every turn, we're questioning those assumptions, those rules in our business, that we're questioning our ideas, our decisions. I mean, hey, just the other day, in fact, I was talking to my team and I said, oh, you guys, I have this idea. I really want to do it. And then we backed up and said, wait a minute, why is that a good idea? It's not just a good idea because I'm the president of LaunchStreet and I decided it was a good idea. In fact, that's the worst reason to pursue an idea. And we knew that. And on the surface, we all really liked it. But as we started to ask ourselves, well, why would we do this? Well, why wouldn't we do this? Well, hold on. What's really the benefit of it? What are we trying to get out of it? Well, what if we did it a little bit differently? When we started asking those questions, you know what? 30 minutes later, we realized, hey, that's not the right idea for this time, actually. So why don't we shelve that and come back to it at another time when maybe the opportunity is right? Question everything, even your own ideas. And in fact, this actually leads into the next one a little bit, but part of that for me is really learning to value the people around you who are really good at that. I think sometimes it's hard to poke holes in our own stuff, in our own thinking. Of course, we're only one perspective, one view, one landscape of the total picture. So I think it's great when we have people around us who can help us question everything. Now, here's the deal. Usually, those people are considered the yes butters. Yeah, but here's why it won't work. Here's the hole. Here's the problem. And we're told this myth in innovation that we should ignore them because they just don't get it. They're not visionaries. They're not one of us. They just don't see the brilliance in our ideas. First of all, I'm going to tell you, I've had this hard slap in the face. It's very egotistical of us to think that nobody else gets our ideas. They get it. But you know what? They also see the holes in it that we don't see. And when we engage those yes butters and we get them to help us drive solutions, we actually come up with stronger, smarter, more long-lasting ideas. So question everything and value the people around you who tend to do that. The next time you're with them, instead of getting frustrated with them for not getting it, try taking a deep breath and going, what makes you say that? What hole is that? And how do you fix it? Let them help you. The next one actually leads in from what we just talked about, which is conflict is good. So this was really new to me this year, both from my own perspective, but also from just the nuggets of insight that I kept hearing from these great innovators. It was that we need more conflict to get to innovation. In fact, innovation is found in those moments of tension, in those moments of debate, in those moments of really good arguments. Have you all seen World War Z? It's one of my favorite movies, that zombie movie. I also happen to really like zombie movies, which says something probably kind of sick about me, but that's another podcast for another time. What I love about it is the part when they're in Israel and they've built the wall, right? And they're doing this great job of keeping the zombies out. And I think it's Brad Pitt, right? Says to the Israeli guy, how did you figure it out? How did you build the wall so far ahead of everybody else? And he was talking about how they have this 10th man. And basically, when there's 10 people in a room and 9 people agree, it is the 10th man job to disagree, to find the fault in their thinking, to prove that the opposite is true. And I think in doing that and having that 10th man mindset, now in the movie, it led to building the wall and keeping thousands of people safe. I think in our world, having that 10th man mindset, recognizing that conflict is good, will help us dig in and get to the brilliance in those ideas even stronger, come up with better, more powerful ideas in the long run. Now, here's the trick that I've learned along the way with this, because I think we look at that and some of us get a little fearful of, oh, well, Tamara, I love the idea of conflict, but then it gets personal, people get mad. I think you have to set the stage for constructive conflict. In fact, it's one of the videos on our on-demand program on LaunchStreet. So those are for intrapreneurs and entrepreneurs. There are whole courses and programs where you get access to a new video every week to help you drive innovation, ignite change. And if you're an entrepreneur, to help you get ahead and differentiate. And both of them actually are to make you rock star innovators, frankly, which I think is awesome when you kind of unleash that in yourself. But the whole thing is constructive conflict in this one video. It's one of the LaunchStreeters' favorites. And we talk about how do you set up expectations? How do you get people to understand, hey, we're debating the ideas, not each other. Hey, I am 100% okay with healthy debate. Let's just make sure that we're focused on the idea and not the feelings or, where each of us is coming from. When we set it up, debate can happen. Constructive conflict can really thrive. And everybody walks away from those sessions, from those conversations, knowing that they've contributed to the idea. So as crazy as this going to sound, I want you to go out there and find some conflict. Start building tension and debate and argument around your thinking. The next one is something I talk about in my keynotes as well, and I heard it time and time again in a multitude of ways, especially from the thriving entrepreneurs out there, and that is build a culture of experimentation, not presentation. I think actually the way I say in my keynotes is ditch the presentation, probably better way to say it, ditch the presentation and build a culture of experimentation. Here's the challenge. Innovative ideas are the first to get shut down on paper. They look wild. They look crazy. Yet in the real world, it's the innovative, disruptive, differentiated ideas that we reward, that we open up our wallets for. I share this story of Tough Mudder, which is one of my favorite brand examples, how they did a brilliant job of this. Will Dean, who's one of the founders, when he started it, he actually first built a business plan for it, submitted it to a Harvard Business School competition, and did not win. The professors basically told him, this will never work. It's crazy. You'll never have enough customers. This is way too niche of an idea. It'll fail. So instead of listening, He took, I think it was $6,000, one Facebook ad, one event, and experimented. Let's see if we can do one of these. Let's see what happens. One led to 5, which led to 20, which led to global domination. Muhahaha. They're a brilliant business. And they really launched that extreme sports category. I mean, now if you look at it, there's the Mutterella, the Muddy Buddy, there's Spartan. I mean, the list goes on. But they were the first because they ditched the presentation and built a culture of experimentation. So here's what I want you to think about. The next time you have an idea that you want to recommend, the next time you have a process improvement that you want to implement, instead of going to your presentation mode and building your slides and trying to get buy-in, I want you to ditch that. I want you to first go out and experiment. Find one customer to run the idea by. Build one mock marketing page to run by a potential client. Find one dark corner in your office to bring the idea to life. Get some duct tape and scented markers and build it and test it out. I think you're going to find a couple things. First of all, you're going to understand the real viability of the idea. You're going to see the brilliance in it, you're going to see the value in it, and you're going to see the holes in it. I will tell you on an offshoot quickly, when we launched our on-demand program, our innovation library and courses, the first thing I did wasn't build the courses. Actually, the first thing I did was I created a mock one-page marketing thing. I would say thing. That sounds horrible. Like I don't know marketing, right? So it was a marketing one pager. I should try thinking about my language. And I called 6 old clients of mine and said, hey, we're about to launch this. I'd love to get your feedback. Those conversations were more valuable than anything I've ever done. Because in my marketing, my mock one pager, I could show them what I was trying to accomplish. I could put what I thought the content would be, how I thought it would be organized, the price points, all of it. And oh my gosh, did they poke holes in it. But you know what else they did? They told me what they needed. They told me what was valuable to them. So when I went into production of the actual product, of the actual on-demand courses, I knew what my clients needed. I knew how they needed it laid out. I knew all of it. I was starting from such a better place than if I had built it and then tried to sell it. But that's because I experimented, right? And then I went out and I did 6 videos and I ran those by a second set of clients. And then I did 12 videos and I ran those. And now we're up to a whole year's worth of content because we experimented, we learned, we adjusted. We experimented, we learned, we adjusted. It is a wonderful, agile, as I'm sure you've heard, cycle of experimentation. Here's the other brilliant thing. For those of you, particularly within larger organizations who then have to get, approval for resources from leadership, from your boss, from whoever it is, when you go to them with not only the idea, but the results of your experimentation, you have proof for its validity. Let me say that again, because I think it's so important. When you go to your leaders' bosses with not just the idea, but with the results of your experimentation, you have proof of its validity. You can say, these people liked it. Here's why it worked. Here's where we need to improve. Here's how we're going to use the money. Here's what happened when we brought this idea to market in a small way. That's the power of experimentation. And if you want to look at organizations that really thrive, they experiment. It's part of their culture. I have a video on our YouTube site as well as in our on-demand program that talks about avoiding the traditional bell curve of business. And really what that curve is, it's not even a bell curve. It's a curve and then it's a cliff, because those are organizations with a culture of presentation, where if you build in the experimentation, you have a strong curve that keeps going up. That's where innovation thrives. That's where it moves forward. That's where you get momentum for your ideas, is in having experimentation. Now, the last thing I'll share with you is something that is a trend, but not just because of the podcast, but because of all the people and our clients that I talk to and all the great launch streeters on our on-demand course that I'm constantly interacting with, is focus on 2 things. There are 2 sides to the same coin when it comes to innovation. One is having a lot of ideas. In that quantity, you'll find quality. And the second part is learn how to communicate your ideas. Learn how to speak the language of innovation. We have a whole 3-part series of that for our launch streeters on our on-demand courses. Think about, how do I get people along for the journey? So even if you're not on our program, what I want you to think about is, once I've done my experiment, how do I present my ideas in a way that gets them along for the journey? Nobody likes to have your brilliance pushed on them. I know, hard to believe, right? But it's true. So how can you communicate your ideas in a way that gets them on board? Because that's how you're going to get those ideas to not hit that brick wall and to actually move forward. Okay. Those were some incredible themes that came out of our podcast. And honestly, there's so many good ones and so many good nuggets. I would encourage you, while you have some time off, to go and re-listen to some of them. Go find ones that maybe you haven't heard yet. Each of them, I think, provides something super valuable to our community. That's why I have them on, is because I know that they're going to give you something amazing. And even if you just took one nugget from each podcast, wow, think how many great things you would have learned. Embrace change. Be emotional. Question everything. Seek conflict. Ditch presentation. Do experimentation. And learn the language of innovation. All right, launch streeters, I cannot thank you enough for being with me. I have so enjoyed this journey. Happy holidays. I cannot wait to see you all in 2018. Peace out.
Thanks for hanging out with us inside LaunchStreet. When you're ready to take your game to the next level, join the thousands of others that are upping their innovation edge on go-to-launchstreet.com, the top online education resource and community platform for innovators looking to use innovation to get measurable results. Go to launchstreet.com.